Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Spoofy here with the card, guys. And, the ban list has come out. And as you see right here, one of my favorite cards, Reborn Tengu, is at 3. And since it is Thursday, I figured we would go back in time. We rewind back to 2011 to one of my, or actually, it was my favorite format. Tengu was at 3. You played plants and you played TGs. And those are the two big decks. Don't get me wrong, Gravekeepers was a big deck, and a couple other decks as well. But those are my two, and Frog Monarchs, but those are my two favorite decks. And that is TGs and this right here, which is the Reborn Tengu plants. So I'm very excited to be bringing this to you guys today. It's a little flashback, hashtag Throwback Thursday for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. This is the 2011 Billy Break YCS Columbus winning deck list. Pretty much, once he won with it the first time, people played variants of the deck. But once he won Columbus and then went and won another, the very next YCS, everybody played pretty much the same exact build, plus or minus one card. And I remember point blank when he played it, I pretty much net decked him. And then I kind of formulated my own thoughts with the deck and stuff. But this is his build. This is probably one of the most consistent builds you'll ever see with the 2011 plants. But I want to go ahead and get into this. My boy's back, Reborn Tengu, as you see here. Let's go ahead and get into this now, guys. So it's a 41 card main deck. First off, we have obviously the triple Reborn Tengu. People probably do not know how powerful this card actually was. Now, in 2011, we didn't have exceeds like we do now. We did, however, have a few exceeds, but we didn't have exceeds like we did back then, or like we do now compared to back then. And so with this, you synchroed. And this is a mandatory effect to special summon when it leaves the field. So if you synchro with it, you get another one from your deck. The only way you didn't get the effective was, like, I think, return back to the deck. That's the only thing. But this card is absolutely nutty. It's a floater. No matter where it goes except back into the deck, you get the effect. When you synchro, you get another one out. So you can go for a game with this if you have, like, I don't know. It was beyond dumb. And I am very excited that this card is back. So play triple Reborn Tengu. Then we played a triple tour guide. Now this is when was one of the biggest cards in the format as well. You had to play double Veil or double Maxi to be able to have more of an advantage against your opponent and whatnot. Actually, fun fact, before this deck actually took off out of the woodworks, they ruled actually with Sangan that if you detached the material and it was a Sangan, you got the effect of Sangan, since they didn't know if the materials were on the field or off the field, which they did specify later on. It was limbo. So pretty much what you would do is you would just go tour guide into Sangan, actually, which is going to be your next card. You would tour guide into Sangan and then overlay into Leviathan Dragon, activating the effect, detaching Sangan, and searching you an effect Veiler. And if you could stop their tour guide from happening, you won the game more than not. And it was crazy. But in this format, it was tour guide gets Sangan, set it and put it in defense instead of back row or something. And the only out, like, Thunder King was a card. But you had to play this right. And sometimes it was a hard thing to, come across if you really wanted to go into Sangan or if you want to exceed into something. But Sangan was very good because it got you, pretty much every single weenie monster in your deck. You could get Tour Guide, Maxi, Veiler, any of the plants, and Debris and Spirit Reaper. It was insane. But yeah, you played the one Sangan, obviously. RIP, I wish you'd come back. But then we played... he played Double Thunder King Ryo. Now, this card was probably, in my opinion, and actually I think a lot of people would agree as well, that this was the card of the format. If you had a Thunder King with some back row, you pretty much won the game a lot of the time. And you could ask people that played back in the day, like that was... Thunder King was the hardest card to get around in the format. And I actually personally in my build played 3 of these because the card was that good. and being able to open up Thunder King, set a back row or two was very good in the format. So played double Thunder King. Then for the hand traps, it's fluctuated. This actually was one of the couple things that was very weird about the format. People didn't know exactly what to run hand trap wise. If you wanted to do 2 Mexi, 2 Valor, 3 and 1, 3 and none, 3 and 2, 3 and 3, 2 and 2, and so this is what I played as well, and this is what he played. This is one of the cards that he played at Columbus that was different from, I want to say it was Dallas. He played double Mexi and double Effect Valor. And I like this the most. Now, when the format shifted a little bit, I did switch to 3 Maxi. But 2 and 2 was perfect because you drew into it enough, and then you could search it out with Sangan as well. But being able to play the Tengu War and have the Maxi in hand was very optimal because you could, if you were turn player, you would attack. You would get your Tengu, and then you would draw since theirs, or you would draw first since theirs resolves, and then you would summon your own Tengu, and vice versa. The Tengu Maxi Wars were actually pretty fun. If you could end up taking all of their Tengus out, and then possibly drawing the Avarice off the Maxi, pretty much solidified the game for you. So yeah, you played 2 of each. Now for the plants, this is probably one of my favorite engines in the game. It has always been. I love plants. A lot of my subscribers actually know that I just love plants. So we're going to get into the plant engine now. Play the 1 Molnfire Blossom, the 1 Dandelion, the 1 Glow Up Bulb, and the 1 Spore. Now, back in the day, this was the tits right here. This is what was up. You can pretty much, if you opened up like 1-for-1 Dandelion and Reborn Tengu, I believe you could end your field with like Stardust Trishula, or like Stardust Trishula Tengu or something like that, which is absolutely insane. And this is just this engine right here allows you just to do all your nutty stuff that you wanted to do. This card was dumb. This, like, all 4 of these cards were dumb. This just allowed all 3 of these to be just abused. So of course, why not? And I've had this Ultra Dandelion forever. This is probably one of my favorite cards, just because of this format. But yeah, and then also to play along with the plant engine, you also wanted to play the 1 Debris Dragon as well. Debris Dragon is by far one of the nuttiest things as well. You could open up 1-for-1 Dandy Debris, and in your field, I want to say with like Formula Trishula and some other stuff. I want to say, I'm not, don't quote me on that. I haven't gone through the combos lately, but with Debris, you could wall up. You could exceed with Tengu if you had to. It was great going Stardust Formula, and you could go Shooting Star, which he didn't play Shooting Star in his deck. Later on, I adapted into the Shooting Star, and also Quasar was not around, so you couldn't really make Quasar, but Debris was a thing, and being able to Black Rose the field and end your field with 2 tokens is very good. If you can do that, and then next turn, if you can keep a token, you could go Molnfire Blossom into a Spore and go like Armory Arm, or something. The plays were endless. Like, you could do so many different synchro plays with the deck. It was unreal. So next card is 1 Spirit Reaper. This is a card that pretty much a lot of people played as well. Plucking cards out of the hand was very good. Wasting a Valor, and then on top of that, just having defense was very good in the deck, and plus you could bring it back with Debris Dragon and do nutty stuff with that as well. But being able to pluck cards out of your hand, save yourself for a turn or 2 when you were low on advantage, could possibly bring you back in the game, which is very cool. Now for the 3 one-ofs, or 3 more one-ofs in the deck. You played the 1 Caius. Now, later on I adapted to playing 2 because I did play a Treeborn Frog in my deck, but Caius was very good, like I said with Reaper just now. Being able to sit on the Reaper for a while, you could draw into the Caius and remove it from play their Stardust and pretty much just win the game. Or you could top deck the Caius and go for game killing their Spirit Reaper. Caius is very good for burn damage. It got in there because a lot of things in the format were dark, and then being able to have that removal was very good as well. Now, played one Gores. Gores was out one, so you played the one Gores, and the factor of Gores. Gores back in the day was probably one of the most powerful cards ever, and being able to go Gores was pretty devastating actually late game. You really couldn't do much to a Gores unless you just had to play around it. Sometimes you just didn't attack in fear of Gores and setting your warning and passing your turn because that's all you could do. And if you feared the Gores, you knew you were going to lose, you didn't attack, which was a really cool thing. Being able to bluff a Gores was always awesome. And then to round off the monsters, you played the one BLS. Now this was the reason that this card got banned to begin with. I want to say it got banned after 2011 for a little bit, yeah. BLS is beyond dumb, obviously. Lights in the deck, you know, you have the 3 tour guides, Sangan, Spirit Reaper, Caius, Gores. And then for the lights, you have the 2 Veiler, you synchroed into lights, and you had the double Thunder King. So you had plenty of targets to go into your BLS, and this was pretty game-changing as well. So that's it for the monsters. Now let's go ahead and go into the spell cards. You played double enemy controller. Now enemy controller was very good. You could go into a Dandelion play and them have, you know, a big monster on the field, and then when they have their monster on the field, you could have your Formula Synchron on the field with one of the tokens, which is pretty cool, and then set the enemy controller. Now, when you set the enemy controller, they would make their play, and you would econ your token to take your monster, and then they would try to make a play with the with what they had, and then you could just use Formia's effect to like Black Rose the field, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I did that a lot actually. But yeah, enemy controller had some pretty nutty stuff. You could take their monster, synchro with it. Thunder King was a really ridiculous card. So being able to just summon your Tengu and then just like econing their Thunder King was very relevant too. Just getting over the Thunder King, keeping your floater on the field. Econ was just all around great. Let's see, for more spells, we played the double MST. You really didn't have to play 3, and then just having that spot removal for the warnings, the solemn. There was no many chainable cards that were played back then, so you really didn't want to play 3, or 3 was more relevant then than it is now, but you had to play 3 now because of like Scout and like Cliff Forts and stuff. But there was no chain ability back then, so pretty much you could just like with no chain ability, you could just like get their warning, get their solemn, get anything out of the way, force them to activate one of their cards, and then just be able to straight push through that. So you play double MST. Now for the power 1-ofs, 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, and 1 Mind Control. These cards are the powerhouse cards of the entire format. Having like Heavy Dark Hole Reborn pretty much solidified the game a lot of the time. Being able just to, you know, even a Mind Controller card, and then it acts as another enemy controller or vice versa, and you could just, you know, make the dumbest plays ever. If you could just Heavy Storm and BLS, then it was pretty much game 2. So yeah, and then another card that I don't ever see coming back is actually Pot of Avarice. Now, Pot of Avarice is ridiculous because, yeah, I just said that word. You could go through all your Tengus, and before you synchro again, you have 5 in your graveyard. You could Pot of Avarice your 2 Tengus back while you have 1 on the field still, and then proceed with more synchros. And so you can field like 4 synchros if you had an Avarice a lot of the time. So, you know, Pot of Avarice was a card. And then being able to top deck that, like, late game, just to get you another card, get you 2 fresh cards was insane. So this card had to go. Like, they banned it right after this format. It was unreal. Now, played 1 Foolish Burial. Obviously, you played a whole bunch of cards that benefit from being in the graveyard. Any of the plants. So, you kind of had to play. And if you needed a live or BLS, you could just foolish a light or a darky if you needed one and just summon it and whatnot. I played one Book of Moon. Tuners were very relevant, and so having that Book of Moon was pretty important actually, because you wanted to stop their synchro plays and stop them from going off. Now, do keep in mind that priority was back then. So, I mean, like, if I played Book on, like, the summon of a card, they could still remove from play something, or, like, if they went Dark Arm Dragon, per se, they could just, I'd play Book on the summon, and then they could just, like, destroy another card. So, yeah, priority was a thing back then. Then played the 1 Scapegoat and the 1 1-for-1. 1-for-1 was stupid. Like, that card was absolutely the nut. And opening up, like, that Dandelion Debris Dragon, like I said, was absolutely insane. That's it for the spells. I believe that, I don't know how many spells that is. And then for the traps, we play 6 of them. Play the Solemn Brigade. I haven't said that in a long time. That kind of feels cool to say. The Solemn Brigade. So you pretty much had to play those because you didn't want your opponent to go off and you not be able to get over their big monsters. So you kind of had to play this. These are ugly. I'm going to get ultimates probably of those. So you had to play the Solemn Brigade, and Solemn Judgment was around, so why not play all 3? Then we played the 1 Torrential Tribute and the 1 Call the Haunted. Being able to call the Haunted, a Thunder King, was very brutal. Being able to go Lone Fire into Dandelion, and then call the Haunted back your Lone Fire, hitting your Dandelion, getting a Spore, and getting 2 tokens was very good, just saying. So you did have to do that. And then the last one is a Trap Dust Shoot. Yes, this card was legal, and opening up this was absolutely stupid. Getting rid of their tour guide, their power play they're going to make, or if you're Thunder King and they have it, you get rid of the Thunder King right then and there. But yeah, the deck was 41 cards. Now let's go ahead and go to the extra deck real quick. The extra deck was pretty standard. Like I said, he didn't play the Shooting Star Dragon, but I mean, it was very bad at the time. Formula Synchron, obviously, number 1. Armory Arm, TG Librarian. Being able to go into these 2 is very good. If you go Librarian first, have a token, and then you mill for Bulb, you drew 2. And then if you're in the mirror match, you had to force them to make a play if you had a lot of cards, and they'd have to synchro, so you drew off the synchro, which is really good too. So Librarian was a thing. Then you played Catastor. The 1 card out to Catastor a lot of the times, like if you couldn't get around anything, was a Librarian. So you'd have to synchro level 5 Librarian and get over the Catastor, which actually happened a lot. Now for level 6, played 1 Orient Dragon. That was to get over, Stardust and whatnot. Brionic was a card, so you played a Brionic. That card was absolutely stupid. Black Rose, you actually used Black Rose's second effect more than you did your first effect, which I don't think people really understand how powerful that was. Being able to, in the mirror match, them having a token, you go Black Rose, remove and play a plant, and just hit them for 24, technically direct, and just outright won the game. So you did that. Then you played the 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon. It was a big wall, so why not play it? And plus Gravekeepers were a thing, so yeah. Played 1 Stardust. Stardust is pretty good as well because it was Stardust. Yeah. Played 1 Scrap Dragon, 1 Trishula, RIP. Then for 4 Exceeds, you played Steel Storm Roach, Leviathan, Leviair, and Utopia. Those are the only ones you had at the time. But that's pretty much it. Tell me what you guys think of the 2011 deck, the deck list. I will be uploading a duel with it as well. So be on the lookout for that. It'll probably come up this week and whatnot. But tell me what you guys think and whatnot. And until next time, guys, I'm Spoofy2009 with the Car Guys, and we'll see you later. Peace.